Eustace's far-standing heavy and crouching heavy follow-up attacks have had a couple of buffs applied to them. Far-standing heavy's mid-air stun was increased from 20 frames to 32, while the crouching heavy's mid-air stun frames were also increased from 20 frames to 36 frames. Both of these changes were made so that it's possible to get follow-ups on grounded hits. For the far-standing heavy, lateral knockback was reduced and the launch height was increased to help this cause, while for crouching heavy, just the launch height was increased. Let's take a look at what these moves looked like before. Far-standing heavy. Crouching heavy's follow-up. This is how they behave now. While there's definitely going to be some synergy with Eustace's bombs, I do want to point out that in the corner, if you're able to hit the follow-up of 5 heavy, you are able to link into a 2M. This does a lot for his combo routes and pressure here when he's trying to keep the opponent at bay with this normal. With 2 heavies follow-up, you can follow it with a 2M in mid-screen. It can be a little tricky to time, though. Still, this gives Eustace some nice combos if he ever wants to use these tools as frame traps. Like many other characters, Eustace's Dash M has its travel speed and distance increased. He'll appreciate being able to land this overhead from farther away. This was how it behaved before. Quite noticeable, I'd say. Flame Thunder, both the light and medium versions, saw some significant changes overall. Let's go through them one at a time. This is how they used to behave in the old patch. The medium had slightly faster travel speed, but a very similar startup, especially when you compare them charged. You'll see that the medium version does knock down against the opponent, whereas the light version kept them standing. At point-blank range, you didn't really have much of a reason to do this. You were -1 after the light version, as opposed to -6. With the medium version, you were -7, as opposed to -6. Let's take a look at how they behave now. For starters, you're going to notice that the behavior on hit has changed. Both the uncharged light and medium versions now knock down the opponent. This is great for Eustace's zoning game plan. If he gets a successful hit, the opponent is now pushed back a farther distance away, allowing Eustace to continue to zone. Otherwise, Eustace could also use this knockdown as opportunity to approach the opponent and try to corner them. Their utility on block when they're charged has also changed. The light version is now +5. So is the medium. The opponent is pushed far away, but it is still Eustace's turn, and you're within his standing medium range as well. Overall, he's going to really appreciate this pressure and be able to cycle through some more options because of this. This does have a couple of implications for Eustace's pressure as well. For example, if he thinks the opponent's going to brave counter him, he could go into a charged medium Flame Thunder near the corner, creating a gap to then whiff punish the opponent. If the opponent holds, then Eustace is still +5 at the very least. Otherwise, if he's correct, he can pick up a full combo from this. It's a pretty cool change. I want to see if any Eustace player is going to do it. The charged medium version of Flame Thunder also sees a couple of other changes. The startup has been increased from 27 frames to 39. The recovery was reduced by 6 frames, making the overall duration 60 frames instead of 66. The idea behind this is to make it so that if the opponent sees Eustace charging, they have to guess what timing he's shooting at now, because the medium should be able to come out and punish their attempt to dodge the light. Actual results may vary based on the timing of when they actually dodge, but that's the idea behind it. And I think Eustace would appreciate having a little more nuance and layers to how his zoning gameplay is going to plan out from these moves. The charged version of Heavy Flaming Thunder also had its hit stop on block increased. This one by 6 frames, meaning that he's now +13 on block. Eustace will appreciate as many plus frames as he can get from some of these situations, considering how he wants to be able to put the opponent under set play conditions. Assault Knife had its lateral knockback slightly increase on the first hit, making follow-ups easier when hitting from behind. I did my best to recreate the combos here from Eustace. I might be slightly off in my execution, but hopefully I'm able to demonstrate the difference here.
Excellent.
This is what the knockback should look like before. This is what it should look like now.
Excellent.
You can tell that there's a lot more hit stun going on, and that has some implications for Eustace's combo routing. Courtesy of, I assume it's Kosei JSS on Twitter, we can see that Eustace is now able to link 3 of the assault knives in a single combo.
Excellent.
If I remember correctly, Eustace had some routes like this before where he was able to link 3 assault knives in it, but then that was taken away. If that's the case, it seems like he has it back, and now he has some amazing utility since he's able to go coast to coast with corner combos, set a bomb on the opponent, and then run his offense in the other side of the screen. It's pretty cool stuff to see for him. All versions of Rat Race have some changes applied to them. For the light version, the bomb bounce height has been increased and the explosion timing has been delayed by 14 frames. Compare that to before. Feels like it has a little more neutral utility overall, but I'm not sure if this is really what Eustace is looking for from this move. Maybe there's some implications to this with mid-screen after a knockdown. Before, at a spacing like that, you can drop the bomb here and be plus 38 on the opponent. But it's the same situation here on this knockdown, so I'm not really sure what this change is supposed to do. His medium Rat Race sees some similar changes, with increased bounce height and the explosion timing delayed by 14 frames. Gives it a little more full screen presence. There's also something else with it too. The hit stop on the first hit has been increased from 4 frames to 10, which changes the frame advantage from -4 to 2 frames plus. The medium and heavy versions of Rat Race also have these changes applied. Gives them a little more full screen presence, it seems. Compare that to before. Again, a little bit of a nice change here, but I don't think it affects anything too practical for Eustace. The medium version of Rat Race also has an additional change to it. The hit stop on the first hit was increased by 6 frames, so instead of being -4, it's now +2 on block. Pretty neat little frame trap concept for Eustace here. Compare that to before. There's actually a real little bit of pressure going on for Eustace here. Before, the opponent could just mash, and whether or not Eustace got hit or blocked didn't matter. The bomb would disappear. Now, Eustace is actually able to throw a little, hey, surprise, it's still my turn on you, opponent. So it's kind of a cool thing to see. I don't think it's going to have too big of an impact for him, but any sort of frame trap and plus frames is always appreciated by any character in any fighting game. Ultimate Rat Race has a significant change to it as well. Before, if the opponent was able to hit Eustace, the bomb would disappear.
Great.
No, does it even apply on block? Let's compare that to the situation now. The bomb no longer disappears on hit. This is great because now that Eustace commits this SBA gauge to the bomb, he doesn't have to worry about immediately losing it to an opponent like waking up with a DP or anything like that. He just simply has this option out at all times. It's a nice little change to him. The last change discussed with Eustace is to his follow-up on Stay Tonight. The mid-air unrecovered duration was increased by 7 frames, so now it's possible to get follow-ups in the corner on grounded hit.
Great.
It's pretty nice. Again, if the opponent randomly gets hit by this, now they might actually take a bit of damage to it. This could incentivize Eustace to use it a little bit more. Additionally, with the launch height being increased, it means he's a little more plus in mid-screen situations. Plus 27 here. Compare that to before. He was plus 20 in this situation. An extra 7 frames probably isn't like a deal breaker or anything like that, but more plus frames is always appreciated. Eustace can threaten a couple more options here before that he couldn't do, so certainly it's going to be something that with time we can appreciate. Overall, I think that Eustace will be enjoying this patch quite a bit. A lot of his stray hit attacks now actually have the potential to be followed up on in certain positions or give better Okizeme in general. He has more depth to his zoning game plan because of the changes to the charged versions of his medium and light flaming thunders. He's able to keep the opponent at full screen on hit a lot more reliably or be able to chase them down. On top of that, too, the opponent is going to have to make distinctions between the light and medium versions in order to successfully navigate that neutral. The fact that Eustace now effectively has wall-to-wall combos, which means he's able to set up for Rat Race pretty much anywhere on screen in the corner, is a boon for him as well, and I know that he appreciates the Ultimate Rat Race now being this way to basically force his Okizeme option on someone in the corner for 50% SBA gauge. Many set play characters would kill to have that ability. Still, he does suffer from some of the system mechanic changes, namely the ultimate scaling nerfs that happened when they were at the start of the combos. A lot of his ultimate skill pokes that let him have huge rips of damage before will be a little more tame, but I think he'll trade that one instance of extra damage at the cost of some of his bar for being just a better, well-rounded character overall. I don't think he's going to shoot up crazy in the tier list, but certainly he's going to function a lot better than he did before, and I'm interested to see if anyone is going to be doing cool things with this character in competitive brackets.